Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, all honor, and all praises be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Next up, honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well. Peace and salutations to the hopefully elected of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as you speckled-berry Hebrew Israelite foreigners that are scattered amongst the heathen, that may look like the heathen nations whither they are scattered too. I'm your brother Shabai, and this is just a quick hit, okay, to keep brothers and sisters edified. It says, I got this article right here. All right. It says, Spain's Pedro Sanchez hits back at Nero. Okay. Donald Trump threat to sever trade, saying no to war. Okay. And ultimately, this is, you had God Emperor Nero saying some crazy things about Spain. All right. Another headline says, Iran war strains U.S.-Spain relations. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of this. Iran war strains U.S.-Spain relations. U.S. President God Emperor Nero has lashed out against Spain after it condemned U.S. attacks on Iran. Will both countries break off ties? Okay, now, what is this right now? Let's get a quick scripture because ultimately Spain and the U.S., they're allies, okay? Because Spain is a NATO nation, okay? So you have in the book of Revelation the 10 horns, all right, in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, okay, these 10 toes, right, which these are America's allies, just simply put. So I'm going to get this right here. This is Daniel 2:40. It says, in the fourth kingdom, which this is speaking about the Roman Empire, but right now, America, Babylon the Great, is the revitalization of the Roman Empire, okay? Daniel 2:40, and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. Okay, so iron is very tough, it's very strong. And Babylon the Great right now, they've made themselves to be very tough and very strong, okay, through their military might, through colonization, and through essentially being the hammer of the earth. All right. So this fourth kingdom is strong, okay, but we understand that it's going to go down. And like it says, going on, Daniel 2:41, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, okay? But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. So these toes, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had a vision of end times, essentially, okay? And it showed him, the dream was a representation of the four major kingdoms that will rule the earth before Yahushua comes back and smites the statue. Yahushua is the stone, okay, that's going to come and smite that statue, right? But the feet mixed with iron and clay, because Babylon the Great is very strong, okay, but it's mixed with miry clay, okay, because the Lord even told you a kingdom divided cannot stand. So here it is, Esau, Edom, in every way, his formation or his foundation of his kingdom is divided. For example, even with his political system, you have Democrats and Republicans, okay? Two wings on the same bird is divided, okay? And with these NATO nations, NATO and the EU, they're starting to have conflict amongst each other. Now, why is this so important? Because Revelation 17:16, okay? But I'm going to read this one more time, and then I'll get that Lord's will. This is Daniel 2:42. It says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Okay? So right now, you see this happening, right? Because the Esau Edom's kingdom that he's created with these European nations and NATO, these alliances, they're not starting to see eye to eye because Donald Trump, okay, doing the bidding of the small hats, is essentially making America less attractive to these nations to work with. Yes, America is still the cash cow. Yes, America is still, they wax rich off the abundance of her delicacies. But now they're starting to see the shameful spewing is coming out, and they're starting to understand that Babylon the Great is really not what they proclaim themselves to be. Okay, these Eastern nations are starting to see America for what they really are, and then they're starting to see that America's a piece of shit. And honestly, God Emperor Nero is pushing himself into a corner that he cannot get out of. Okay, let's get this. This is Jeremiah 51:7, but this is the NLT. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, a cup that made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank Babylon's wine, and it drove all them mad. Okay, So all the nations are mad off the philosophies, okay, the way of life that Babylon the Great has pushed out into the world. What do you mean you have McDonald's in Saudi Arabia? Just Esau Edom's degeneracy has spread like cancer upon the earth, okay, and everybody's essentially not copying him, but taking on some of his ways. You see that? They're forming themselves like Babylon the Great, okay, because ultimately the nations, they need her. Okay, this is why it tells you in Revelation, the 18th chapter, when Babylon the Great gets destroyed, they're all going to be looking at the smoke of her torment and saying, oh my gosh, like, no, she's gone, she's gone, she's gone. Okay, because ultimately America Babylon the Great is not a fucking good person to work with, but they benefit off of her. So going back to this article, okay, because you have this Spain leader, he's not in support of Babylon the Great fighting against Iran, which America shouldn't even be in this war. It's not their war. But as the scriptures say in Jeremiah 49 and Jeremiah 50, the least of the flock shall draw them out. So ultimately Spain is like, wait, hold on. Like, what the fuck is going on? We're not supporting this shit. Okay, but they're a NATO nation. So they have to technically, but it's not even America's war to fight. They're doing the bidding of the small hats. Okay, your American government is controlled by the small hats. Your American government is controlled by the small hats. You see? And the small hats are going to lead Babylon the Great to getting fucking destroyed, man. Okay? Because really, Babylon the Great doesn't have any major cards in this game when it comes to Iran and things of this nature. They're just backing up Israel. You see that? Going on in the article, it says, when Donald Trump received Grammy Chancellor's Frederick Merz at the White House on Tuesday evening, the U.S. president unleashed a tirade against Spain. He told reporters in the room Spain has been terrible and that we're going to cut off all trade with the EU country. Okay? So here it is. This is your ally, but Babylon the Great, being the hammer of the earth, God Emperor Nero thinks that this place cannot get touched. He thinks that this place is not going to go down. Okay? And his religious counselor, whatever that lady name is, she's not telling him, okay, and the people that's around him, they're not telling him that this is Babylon the Great, man. Okay, they're not telling him that this place is going to get nuked. You're going to lose the Third World War. They're not telling him this. So like it says, let's get this. And please bear with me. This is Obadiah 1 and 3. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And this is the muscle that God Emperor Nero is moving in, because he really believes that he can't get brought down to the ground. Okay, he believes that this place is going to go forever. He believes that God really blesses America. They say, God bless America. The maggers. Okay, but even the maggers are starting to see that this nigga Donald Trump is going to, like, why are we in this war right now? You see that? But like the scriptures say, the least of the flock shall draw them out. So Spain is starting to see that, and they're like, nah. And then God Emperor Nero, he's like, well, all right, y'all, you don't want to support us attacking Iran or doing, whatever Israel tells us to do? All right, well, we ain't going to trade with you no more. And what is that going to lead to? Let's get Revelation 17th chapter. Okay, because this is going to eventually lead Salakia, to these nations hating the whore and shooting missiles at her. Okay, this is Revelation 17 and 16. It says, and the 10 horns, okay, which is NATO and the EU, which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So the whore right now is riding on top of the beast, controlling everything, but eventually these 10 horns are going to turn against the whore, and they're going to be like, nah, fuck you. You see that? Revelation 17 and 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So eventually, the people that ate at the table with Babylon the Great, okay, God Emperor Nero is trying to make all these peace deals, and they did all these things. Eventually, these nations are going to end up hating Babylon the Great and shooting missiles at her, okay? Because here's another thing too. You got Turkey, okay, is in the mix right now, and Ezekiel the 38th chapter is popping off the page. So Israel, if they attack Turkey, you have to understand that Turkey is it's a NATO nation. All right, So according to their alliance, if Israel attacks Turkey, then that means that according to the alliance, the NATO nations have to come and back Turkey up and attack Israel, which that includes Babylon the Great and Canada. Okay? Which, do you think Babylon the Great is going to attack Israel because they're going after Turkey? No. Okay, so this is the quagmire. This is the conundrum that God Emperor Nero has himself in, because it's like, okay, at this point, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Okay, the least of the flock is literally drawing them out. The least of the flock is going to draw them out to World War III, man. It's going to draw them out to disintegrating these ties and these relations that they've built with these nations. Okay, they're allies. And it's going to ultimately make them crash out. Okay, and it's not going to end well. You see? So let's get some more of this. This is Jeremiah 51:9 in the NLT. It says, "We would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. Let her go. Abandon her. Return now to your own land, for her punishment reaches to the heavens, and it is so great it cannot be measured." Okay, so there's nothing you can do for Babylon the Great to make God Emperor Nero or these top wicked elites stop doing these things to make them ultimately crash and burn this place, because it's the Lord's will. The scriptures tell you that the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So yes, God Emperor Nero, he can't see that he's making these stupid ass decisions, but ultimately it's not up to him because the Lord is making him do it. But we're just telling you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua that it's not going to end well. Okay, he's in a conundrum that he cannot get out of, man. All right? And there's not going to be any peace talks or peace things. You know, like the beloved Elder Apostle Tahar said maybe a week or so ago, there may be a little bit of peace talks and it might get quiet for a second, but as the Elder Amawan Gabar, okay, up there in the main camp, he also brought out that the scriptures say that the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Okay, so things might get quiet. We understand that war cannot pop off before the MOTB gets instated. Once 98, 99% of the people get chipped, the elect will not get chipped. Once they get chipped, then the war will pop off. Then missiles will start flying. So missiles cannot start flying right now. You see? But let me get this. Let's get Obadiah 1:7. But this is the NLT. It says, "All your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you." And this is ultimately what's going to happen according to Ezekiel the 38th chapter. A lot of these nations are going to end up siding with Russia. Okay, and Russia's going to be a guard unto them. Okay, so it's not looking good, man. You see that? And it's all going according to prophecy. Obadiah 1:7. "They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it." Okay? So these people that you've ate at the table with, they're ultimately going to be the same ones to destroy you. And that's getting back into Revelation 17:16, which we see that the Lord is moving the prophecy vehicle to that point. Okay? The things that are happening in the news and the actions that America, Israel, okay, Iran is starting to fight back. Let the weak say I'm strong. Okay? Because they have the great equalizer, and nowadays, like the beloved Elder Apostle Tahar says, the great equalizer is these new military weapons, these nukes, these missiles, okay? And ultimately, the cost that it costs for Iran to shoot a missile is not the same cost that it costs for Babylon the Great to shoot all these big-ass, fancy, try to intimidate you as missiles. They're losing money, okay? America's really losing money trying to fight and defend these missiles and things of this nature. Okay, because it's costing them millions and millions upon dollars to shoot these missiles, while Iran is not costing them that much to shoot missiles and to attack and do these things. Okay, so this is why God Emperor Nero is trying to sit at the peace table and make talks. But what did the Lord say? Let's get what is that? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, the Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah. Here it is, right here. This is Isaiah 48:22. It says, "There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked." In the NLT, it says, "But there is no peace for the wicked, saith the Lord." Okay? And the wicked, we understand who the wicked is. We understand what nation of people that the wicked is that the Bible speaks of, and it's the nation of Edom. Okay, now, like it says in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, Russia is going to be a guard to these nations and help destroy Babylon the Great. But like it also says in that chapter, the Lord is not with Gog or Magog, which is Gog from Gog is the same thing. Okay, the Lord is not with them. Just because the Lord is using them to attack Babylon the Great and to be a guard to these nations, to fulfill his will to destroy this place off the face of the earth and shoot nukes at Israel, that does not mean that the Lord is on their side. The Lord is just using them. And once the Lord gets done using them, they ass is through too. You see? So I'm going to read the headline on this article one more time. It says, Iran war strains U.S.-Spain relations. Okay, so we see that NATO and the EU is starting to break. It's starting to, you know, the chain's starting to rust. Never trust thine enemy. Sirach 12. Sanchez published a video message not long after Trump's outburst, doubling down on his anti-war stance, telling viewers that we say no to the violation of eternal laws which protect us all, especially civilians. And Donald Trump don't give a damn about civilians. He didn't give a damn about them people that died in the three casualties, which we know it was more than 3. Okay, he don't give a damn, man. Okay. He added that anyone who acts like the U.S. plays Russian roulette with the fate of millions of people. And this is exactly what's going to happen, because the least of the frog drawing them out. Okay, the Lord is going to draw the northern army to the land of Israel, to the land of Saudi Arabia, that land that's barren and desolate over there in that region. Okay, into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. A lot of people are going to die there. And when these nukes get shot off here, everybody who's not of the elect, that's not going to get beamed up, okay, by the chariots of Israel, okay, that's only going to pick up the elect, your ass is going to die here too. So yes, God Emperor Nero, Donald Trump is playing with the lives of millions of people. Okay, this is a very serious thing. You see that? So it's not going to end well, man. And let me see if I can grab this video and we'll close out, Lord's will. And Lord willing, this was edifying, man. Donald Trump, Spain. Let's see if we can pull up that video. Yeah. This is fair use, fair use.
Mr. President, are you going to take the heat off the Europeans who pretend to be healthy? Mark Rutte called on the allies to also help you.
What does that mean?
Well, you have to ask Mark Rutte because not as part of Nato, but to be helpful to you in this.
Well, some of the European nations have been helpful and some haven't. And I'm, very surprised. Germany's been great. He's been terrific. Others have been very good, terrific. I think that the head of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Okay, Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases. And that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it. But we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people. But they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
What is the expectation?
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you...
Okay, you heard that from the horse's mouth, man. All right. And I'm going to read this one more time. Because he made a statement. He said that, well, it doesn't matter if Spain, we can't use their, if we can't, essentially plot a military over there or use their bases. He said, we're just going to go do it anyways. But you got to understand, Babylon the Great is the hammer of the earth. This is why they ride on the beast. This is why they have this look that's more stout than their fellows. And he's literally talking like he controls this shit. He's talking like, oh, well, we're going to do this shit anyways. They're using that muscle of being the hammer of the earth, and they're using it, and they're showing themselves to be that. This is Jeremiah 51, and actually, Salakia, let me get hammer of the earth. This is Jeremiah 50, Salakia, and 23. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay, so how is this place moving with this authority? How the hell is this place going to get broken? Well, it's the will of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai to destroy this place, man. And we see that everything's going according to the script. Okay, so it's called Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. All right. And it's the Wadi Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai for our elders and our apostles on down to the great millstone who've been blowing the trumpet in Zion, telling you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to get right because the time is short ultimately, man. Okay, this place is going down. And I'm gonna read this in the NLT too. That same verse. This is Jeremiah 50:22, but this is the NLT. It says, "Let the battle cry be heard in the land, a shout of great destruction." And great destruction is coming to Babylon the Great. Okay, ultimately it's going to get nuked, but before that, pestilence, famine, okay, cannibalism is coming back. Okay, a grid shutdown is coming. Okay, and ultimately they're going to try to set up this this NWO. Okay, where they're going to try to chip you, and that has to happen before any missiles start flying towards U.S. home soil and things of this nature, before it gets nuked and becomes that lake of fire. Jeremiah 15:23, Babylon, the mightiest hammer in all the earth, lies broken and shattered. And Babylon is desolate among the nations. Verse 24, listen, Babylon, for I have set a trap for you. You are caught, for you have fought against the Lord. In the KJV, it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art taken, O Babylon. And thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Okay, and ultimately the snare that the Lord has laid, okay, is the tic tac hats, Amalek. Okay, that's the snare, because them doing the bidding of the small hats is ultimately leading to them crashing out and essentially like voiding all these other relations, and it's going to lead to these nations ended up hating the whore and shooting missiles at her. But Lord willing, this is edifying to the hopefully elected the nation of Israel. Just a quick update through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. I want to end up by giving all glory, all honor, and all praise be to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Harakakwadash. Next, them honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well. Peace and salutations to the hopefully elect. Kwame Asharala, a Bible ball. Shalom.